प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। श्री गुरु चारणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा। 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 बंधु मोहि सावधान माते बंधु मोहि सावधान बंधु मोहि सावधान माते बंधु मोहि सावधान। जहर प्रसादे बाय हे भवतोरिया जाय। जहर प्रसादे बाय हे भवतोरिया जहर प्रसादे बाय हे भवतोरिया जाय। जहर प्रसादे बाय हे भवतोरिया कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो। गुरु मुखा पद्मा वाक्या चितित कोरिया क्या। गुरु मुखा पद्मा वाक्या चितित कोरिया हरना करियो माने आशा हरना करियो माने हरना करियो माने आशा हरना करियो माने। श्री गुरु चाराने रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। श्री गुरु चाराने रति ऐसे उत्तम गति। जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व। चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय। दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित। हे प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनश्यति प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनश्यति प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते वेद गाय जहाँ चरित वेद गाय जहाँ चरित वेद गाय जहाँ चरित वेद गाय जहाँ श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना आह प्रभु करो दया देह मोर पाद छाया प्रभु करो दया देह मोर पाद प्रभु करो दया देह मोर पद छाया प्रभु करो दया देह मोर हे दया दुष त्रिभुवाना हे दया दुष त्रिभुवाना हे दया दुष त्रिभुवाना हे दया दुष त्रिभुवान जय प्रभुपदा 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 शिला प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्यादेश जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमदि डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणार वृंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की. प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुन राधा कुन श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की. श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की, कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, बृहत मृदंग ट्रांसिनेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, ट्रांसिनेंटल प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Translation of Guru Puja. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to our Sunday Feast program. Today we'll be discussing verse 2.21 of the Gita, and we'll be doing a discussion on that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, please repeat after me. Veda Vinashinam Nityam. Veda Vinashinam Nityam. Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam. Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Kam Gatiyati Hanti. Kam Gatiyati Kanti Kam. Veda Vinasham Nityam. Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Kam Gatayati Hanti Kam. Veda Vinasham Nityam. Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Kam Gatayati Hanti Kam. Would anyone like to try? Veda Vinashinam Nityam. Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Kam Gatayati Hanti Kam. Veda Vinashinam Nityam. Ya Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Kam Gatayati Hanti Kam. Anybody else would like to try? Veda Vinashinam Nityam. Enam Ajam Avyayam. Katam Sa Purushaha Partha. Okay. So the word for word, please repeat after me. Veda knows. Avinashinam indestructible. Nityam always existing. Ya one who. Enam this soul. Ajam unborn. Avyayam immutable. Katam how. Saha that. Purushaha person. Partha O Partha, Arjuna. Kam, whom? Gatiyati, causes to hurt. Hanti, kills. Kam, whom? Translation. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Please repeat after me. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed, because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death, so that in his next life, he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for the supreme justice. And thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because, at any rate, the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So for the administration of justice, so-called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is with full knowledge, so there is no possibility of sinful reaction. Om Agyantimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So I just repeat the verse again. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So what does this verse mean? To a layman it might seem like it doesn't matter if you kill anyone because they're the soul. That doesn't mean you should go home today and start stabbing people because it doesn't matter. What this is actually meaning, this is a continuation from the verses before. I say the verse before. The verse before was, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So as a continuation from that verse, what Krishna is basically saying, he's trying to run home that same explanation that the soul is eternal. It does not die. So basically the point is the body is destructible, but the soul is not destructible. So when there is death happening, actually for a living being there is no such thing as death, because everyone's real identity is the soul. This is basic. Pretty much every philosophy in the entire world, whether you have different religions, they believe in some kind of living force which is the soul. The soul does not die. It's eternal. Therefore, our real identity is the soul, and therefore we do not die. So that is what's trying to be, the explanation is here. So this is all right to know, okay, we're not the soul, we're not the body, we're the spirit soul. But knowing is one thing, but realizing is another thing. There's one story by one of our devotees. Yesterday we were having our bhakti lounge in the temple, and we were talking about this actual subject, about the soul and how it's eternal. Oh, and also knowing and realizing. There's one thing to know and there's one thing to realize. For example, one of our devotees, if you've ever come across a devotee in the street, you'll see some devotees, they try to give books to people in the street. Maybe that's how some of you got in contact with Krishna consciousness. So one of our devotees, they were trying to distribute books in the street, Srila Prabhupada's books, trying to give knowledge to people. And sometimes with book distributors, they're very fired up and they want to have different strategies. So they always have ideas. How can we get as many books as possible out to different people? How can we get as much knowledge to people? So then this one devotee had an idea. Usually on Friday nights, any night pretty much, I see a lot of people in pubs, because when you go through the streets, you see through the window, there's many people in pubs. They're relaxing, they're talking, and they're having a nice social event. So why don't we just try and go in a pub and distribute books? Talk to people, give some books, talk to them, and give them the knowledge. So then, one time when he was going into a pub, he met one person. He was at a table by himself drinking beer. He started getting to know this person. This person was a professor of Hindu philosophy at a university nearby, whichever the city was. And he was a fully educated professor. He had PhDs, multiple books, multiple articles published, complete in knowledge. And he was a Hindu as well, he claimed to be. And he knew a lot, that means. PhD means you know a lot, right? You're very educated in something. So then they got talking about philosophy. This devotee was trying to give a Gita, but this person already knew many of the things. So then they started talking about the science of the soul. And one of the main topics that this PhD professor was proficient in was hell in Hindu philosophy. Now in hell, he knew it. He studied all different books. And he studied all the descriptions of hell, the hellish planets. He knew the different systems. He knew the different departments of hell. If you do this, you go to this department. If you do this, you go to this department. In this department, there are so many people working. He knew it in such detail. The devotee was gobsmacked. And then he even said, this was surprising, because he was a Hindu as well. He had a beer, half a pint of beer on his table. And he was saying, I've drunk half this liter of beer. And just from this half liter, I can tell you from which department I'm going to go, and which place I'm going to go, and how many people, how many workers of the hellish planets are going to attend to me. So he knew. He knew all this knowledge. But he didn't realize it. Because if he did realize it, what would he do? Probably not drink. So, therefore there's a difference between knowing and there's realizing, right? So there's one thing for us to say, oh, it's fine. I'm not the body, I'm the spirit soul. But there's another thing to realize. So when I was thinking about this topic before, when I was looking at this verse yesterday, one of the points that came up in my mind was, if the soul is indestructible, and we know this, why does fear exist? Because one of the greatest, there's so many, all of us fear something, right? Maybe you fear losing some money. Maybe you fear, I don't know. What do you fear? Anything you fear? Losing health, disease, catching a cold, financial security. Yeah, that's something we fear. What's one of the... So you might have different fears, and one person might have a fear, oh, I don't have financial security, one person might not. What's one fear that everybody has? What's common between everybody? Death. Yeah. See, it's so common that you both said it at the same time. Death. Death is one of the most common answers for fear. In fact, there was a survey done, I think it was a few years ago, by some surveyors, and they were asking people, what is your biggest fear? Some people said flying, some people said the ocean, and one of the most common ones was death. And actually one of them that was quite close to the answer of death was darkness. They asked adults this, by the way. Many people are afraid of the dark. Even if you're an adult, you might think, you might say, I'm not afraid of the dark. But then, if you go out in a pitch black room and you don't know what's happening, you're going to be fearful, right? Does anybody know why people fear darkness so much? It's related to the fear of death. Why are you afraid of the dark? Why are we afraid of the dark? Fear of unknown. Yeah. If you're in the darkness and you can't see anything, you don't know what's happening. Because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know who's in the room. There could be, let's say, a wild animal in the room. You could get attacked. You don't know. Even if you see the room is empty, then you turn the lights off. You don't know, because something could happen. So the main point is that there's a fear of unknown. Same answer is for death as well. Most people, they're afraid of death because they do not know. Right? They don't know. This was answered in the survey as well. They asked, why are you afraid of death? Because I don't know what's going to happen. Some people think that everything just goes black. You don't exist anymore. So they fear that. They don't know what's going to happen. So many people have fears. People have a fear of death. So many people ask, why do I have to die? But no one asks, if people are fearful of death, why does no one ask, why do I want to live forever? You never hear this question, do you? Why do I want to live forever? Naturally, all of us, it's a human tendency, you can see that people want to live for longer. Why do you keep healthy? Why do you keep financial stability? Why do you take care of your life in such a way? So you live for longer, You make more of that time. But everything we see in our lives, everything we see, has an end. Whether it's this room, whether it's this building, whether it's skyscrapers, whether it's mountains you see in nature, it has an end. Maybe we might not see it, but it has an end. Everything, all matter has an end. So why is it, if we're surrounded our entire life with things that are temporary and destructible, why is it that we have the tendency to try and live as long as possible, or try and be, live immortal? Nowadays we have this AI. People are saying that now we should put our consciousness in robots and put our consciousness in technology and therefore live forever. This is a huge thing. Elon Musk and Tesla and all these kind of companies, they're trying to do this, right? This is the thing. Or maybe some people, they want to live on their memory. They want, who was it? I think it was Walt Disney. Yeah, this is the thing. Everyone knows Disney, no? The company. Walt Disney, the creator of Disney, you can see by his name, obviously. Before he was about to leave his body, because Disney had made quite a bit of money, what he wanted to do is he asked some people to, after he left his body, freeze his body. Freeze it, preserve it, and then when, let's say 100, 200,000 years later, when the technology to live forever comes, then you just unmummify my body and take it through the process. It's not happening anymore, because I think the team that was taking care of it was too much financial, so they just gave up with that. But it's a true thing. You can Google it. You can read upon it. So people want to live forever. It's a natural tendency. But why? If everything we have seen around us does not live forever, why is it we want to live forever? Surely there's a reason for this. Everything has a reason, right? Does anybody want to try and answer? Losing loved ones, yeah. Yeah. So we've already established that we misidentify sometimes. If you've been coming to the temple for some time, you would know that there's a soul and there's a body. And we identify ourselves with our body, everything that happens to us. But if we are the soul, and things happen to the body, then there's less fear, right? But because we are misidentifying with the body, and we don't know that we are the soul, this verse tells us that the soul is eternal. So our natural identity is that we are eternal. But because of our fear of not being eternal is there. How would I say? Because we don't know that we are eternal. So that us having a mortality, and that fear of mortality, points to a natural tendency for us being used to being eternal. Does that make sense? Seems a little bit complicated. Yeah. I think I wrote it down. Our fear of mortality points to our immortality. Does that make sense? Because we are fearing that we might come to an end, even though we do not. Why? Because we're not used to that. We're not used to things having an end. Because we ourselves, as spirit souls, do not have an end. We are eternal. Krishna says. What was the title last week? Unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is the nature of the soul. That is the nature of us. And because we've forgotten that, but our natural tendency is that we are eternal. We do realize that. So that's why even having a bodily identification or misidentifying ourselves with the body, we want to try and be eternal because we're used to it. Does that make sense? Our natural tendency is to be eternal, so then we try to do it, even though we try to understand ourselves as the body, even though that is not eternal. Does that make sense? There's, I don't know if anyone has seen on the internet or anything like that, there's a man called Brian Johnson. I look a lot at the internet and research and things like this. There's a man called Brian Johnson in America. He's a billionaire. And he became a billionaire from selling his company, I think, to PayPal or some company like that. And he's now a billionaire. After he sold his company and became a billionaire, he wasn't happy with his life. He was unhealthy, overweight, and things like this. And he wasn't happy with that. So now he's built a company, or is building still, a company called Blueprint. And Blueprint is a company where he is basically using himself as a guinea pig, putting himself through so many experiments and trials to do different things that makes a person live longer. Maybe some of you have seen. So he does a very serious regimented life. He tries to get the best sleep, the best eating, the best exercise, the best vitamins, the best nutrients, and he eats like 100, 200 pills a day to get all the vitamins. And his goal, he's doing so many things, like he transfuses his blood with his son so that he can age slower. So there's so many things they're doing. He has a whole team around it, but he's spending millions, a few hundreds of thousands, millions a year, just to live as long as possible. He's slowed down his speed of aging by like 20, 30 years or something like this. That's fine, that's good. You're living longer, you're going by whatever your plan was, but you'll still die. So the best that he's trying to do is try and be as eternal as possible. So, as we just discussed, people have a natural tendency to live eternally, if not as long as possible, because they have that. And we've just established that there is a fear. So we've established everyone is fearful of death. We've established why people are fearful of death, why we are all fearful of death. We've even established why we don't want death as well. So how do we overcome the fear now? Everybody has fear. If you live a life of fear, most people will think it's not a very happy life as well. So I made a few notes. How do people try to overcome fear? There's 3 ways. The first one is they try to make physical adjustments with their life. That means trying to get enough money because they're fearful of not having financial stability, right? They physically try to put themselves out of their way to get as much money as possible, to fix that and not have that fear. So they try to overcome it that way. Or another thing is, let's say, getting a vaccine, having medicine, eating healthily. These are physical ways people try to overcome fear. That's one way. But at the end of the day, even if you try and get enough money, will fear still exist? Yeah? Even after you get a vaccine, will fear still exist? Yeah? It will. So physical adjustment, it diverts your fear, but it's still there. Doesn't solve fear. One other way that people try and overcome fear is a mental adjustment. This can be things like, I had friends in school that did this a lot. Let's say you have an exam and then you're very fearful that you have the exam and you've got a lot of anxiety. What do some people try to do? They try to sleep it off. That's the phrase, isn't it? Sleep it off. Don't worry, sleep it off. So that's a mental adjustment. You try to divert your mental idea, mental state, away from that thing that is causing you fear. Some people, they take it as far as maybe take intoxication, maybe drink, take your mind off of something, go on a jog or something like this. Just keep your mind away from it. That's a mental adjustment. But even when something happens, even if you try to avoid that and you try to put your mind somewhere else, does fear still exist? Yes. Right? It doesn't go away just from that. It'll come back. You might push it away, but it'll come back. So fear still exists. And the last one that some people try to do is an intellectual adjustment. Intellectual adjustment means, you've seen some people, they do like affirmations. I will become rich. I will wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I will do this. I deserve this. Sometimes people will get up. This is a method that some people do. They get up, they look in the mirror, and they tell themselves, I will be like this. I am not like this. I am like this. So they try to intellectually change their mindset in that way. They try to convince themselves, you are not fearful. But even after doing that, does fear still exist? Yes. So these are different ways that people try to overcome fear, naturally. But fear still exists. In an ancient book called Niti Shastra, it's one of my favorite books, there's a verse from it that I thought I would share with you. The verse goes like this: enjoyment fears disease. Attachment fears loss of family. Greed fears loss of money. Power fears enemies. Beauty fears old age. A liar fears exposure. But everyone fears death. It's quite nice, no? Enjoyment fears disease. Attachment fears loss of family. Greed fears loss of money. Power fears enemies. Beauty fears old age. And liars fear exposure. Everyone fears death. Something to think about. But when we were saying all those statements, we just went through the different ways people try to overcome fear. So through each of these, if you put them in a list, what are people trying to do to overcome fear? They're trying to control their disease, right? You try to control your disease so you don't have fear of that. You try to control the loss of family, try and not lose family members. You try to not lose money. You try to not create enemies. You try to not get old. You try to not get exposed, even if you lie. And especially, people try not to die. Are these things that we can control? Because even though we try to do this, fear still exists. You might try not to lose money, but you might still have a fear of that, right? Fear won't go. So if you try to control that other hand, fear won't go. But people are still trying to do that. Well, rather, the Vedic kind of mindset to controlling fear is, instead of that, control your enjoyment. Look at the other hand. Control your attachments. Control your greed. Control your power. Control your beauty. Control your lies, i.e. don't lie. Not lie to some people and don't lie to some. But when you think of eradicating fear, does anyone think of controlling these things? No. No one does. Everyone thinks of trying to control the other hand. But that won't happen. People have been trying that and doing that for thousands of years. Has it solved fear? No. But actually what the Vedic scriptures say is that you must control the other hand. What causes that fear? Right? And therefore fear goes. Fear will come in everyone's life. Rather, instead of trying to let go of fear and try to avoid fear and fix fear, What you want to try is try and cope fear, because it will come in everyone's life, So the Vedic scriptures don't teach of avoiding fear, but rather coping with it, controlling it, living with it. These are some of the things. So that was just an introduction. So as we can see, fear exists. Fear happens. Fear happens in different ways. And this is how people try to overcome fear. But how do we now overcome fear? How do we get fear out of our life? We spoke about the soul. Now let's speak about God. Through all of Vedic scripture, we can see there is a natural linking between the soul and God. There is some kind of relationship. So therefore, in order to control fear, God must be present in our life, Krishna. So there's two mentalities in our life. When people have fear, there's two mentalities that most people live by. Either, whatever happens in your life, you say, I am in control. People put up with the mentality that I'm in control. I can control whatever happens. But then, what are the consequences of that? Let's say you go through an event and you succeed in life, let's say. When you succeed in life, but you have the mentality that I am in control, I am doing everything, that means I made my life a success. So what will you feel if you go around that? If I'm in control and I've succeeded, what happens? Become proud. Because I've done this. My ego goes up. Is that good? Usually ego is a bad thing for most people, right? Pride is a bad thing. And then if you fall in life, the opposite happens, but you still have the idea that I am in control. How will you feel? Disappointed? Unmotivated? You'll feel down, right? So both ways, even if you succeed in life and you don't succeed in life, but if you have the philosophy and mindset that you are in control, you lose. Your ego goes up, or you feel down and disappointed. But if you live by the philosophy that Krishna is in control of all the events that are happening in my life, Krishna, God, then how will you feel when you succeed? Krishna's mercy. Will you feel grateful? You'll feel grateful, won't you? Will you feel motivated to do more? Yeah. Krishna is being present in your life, so you want that to happen more. If something, let's say you fail in life, in something in life, now how will you feel? But Krishna is in control, you have that mentality. Will you feel disappointed, down? Yeah. You'll feel that Krishna doesn't want that thing to happen, therefore you're in good hands anyways. Right? So even if something bad happens in your life, but you have the mentality that Krishna is in control, then you'll feel happy either way. So if you succeed in life, and if you fail in life, but you have Krishna in the center and Krishna in control, what is the reaction? Positive or negative? Positive, right? You don't lose. You win in every aspect, even if you lose or fail in life. So that is why fear also exists. When everyone has the mentality that I am in control, anything that happens, there is misery that comes after that. Whereas, let's say you don't get a job interview. You went for a job interview and you didn't get the job. And you've been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing, all for so much time, day and night, But you have Krishna in the center. You'll feel, well, Krishna, you don't want me to have this job? That's fine. Because I did everything that I could. Everything that I had in my control, I did. Therefore, if I failed, surely that was your hand. Does that make sense? It's a huge coping mechanism. This is why anxiety and mental health is going up in the world. Right now, we're living in a time where mental health is like the number one health problem in everyone's life in the world. I read somewhere, there was a study done. I heard this speech, that it's a stat that now in normal high schools, the level of mental health problems are the level of anxiety that students have in high schools today in Western world and everywhere across the world is higher than the amount of anxiety that mental health students had in mental health hospitals in the 1950s. Isn't that a crazy stat? In high schools and normal schools. Whereas 70, 100 years ago, in psychological hospitals, people had less anxiety. It's a genuine stat. Why is this? Because of things like fear, things like being fed that, you're in control. So any failure that happens, it's your fault. Or any success that happens is your fault as well. So these things are there. So this is the kind of philosophy, these are the kinds of teachings that the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. I like to tell people that the Bhagavad Gita is the first mental health book in the world, written 5,000 years ago. Nowadays, if you go to any like Waterstones or library, the mental health or psychological or success area is like the most popular area, right? Whereas the Gita is like the first one. All of that, this is the OG, the origin. So that's cool. So now we know, with any move in our life, any kind of thing that we do in life, we have to keep Krishna in the center, Krishna in control. If that happens, only positives can come from it. Yeah? A child, it's easy to understand because let's say a child is fearful, but who does a child call for when they're fearful? Mom, Dad, Mummy, Daddy. Why do they call for that? Because they feel protected in that way. They don't feel fear. If a child goes into a dark room alone, they'll feel fearful. But if their parent goes with them, they don't feel fear. Their parent is naturally over them. So if we have that same kind of mentality that Krishna is always with us, there won't be fear. Because your parent is there watching over you. It's natural. We see it within childhood. But, so there's one thing to say this. Okay, these are the methods. If you can't get that grasp of fearlessness, then what can you do? What are the practical things that we can do then? So I just told you, okay, just keep Krishna in the center. Think of Krishna. That's okay. But so that's theory. Now you need practicality. What can you do to become fearless now? Fearless of death. One thing is, you associate with fearless, spiritual people. Sometimes it's harder to do by yourself. That's why you are who you hang out with. Why do parents tell their children, don't hang out with them, don't play with them? Because they're a bad influence. Why do they say that? Because influences happen. Whoever you associate with, you'll naturally get tendencies from them. So if you associate with people, spiritual people especially, not materialistic people, spiritual people that have that same goal as you, that are also fearless, then that will naturally rub off on you. One of the biggest examples of this is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, who we have at the back of the temple room. It's fair to say, Srila Prabhupada was fearless. At the age of 69, where most people would retire, where most people would not have the energy to travel, fearlessly, he got on a cargo ship, suffered 2 heart attacks. If you have any health problem, if you have some motion sickness or seasickness, you turn back and be like, I want to go back home. Especially at that age. You're not fit to do that. But he had 2 heart attacks. Fearlessly came to a country where he didn't know anyone, not a single person, with how much money in his pocket? 40 rupees, which would be equivalent to $5. So he had 40 rupees in his pocket. So the 40 rupees can't even be used as money because you can't exchange the money. He came alone with no assistant, no one to help him, knowing no one in America, to start an international movement to bring everyone and bring the whole world happiness and Krishna consciousness. He came fearlessly in that endeavor. If that were me, and I had one heart attack on the ship, I'm saying, I'm going to die now. I'm fearful completely, anxiety, sweating, But he kept on going. And we said the point that whoever you associate with, their qualities will rub off on you. So if Srila Prabhupada was so fearless, actually what we've done in this temple, we haven't spoke so much about his disciples. Srila Prabhupada initiated so many disciples during that time when he was present on the planet. And so many of them, if you read about them in history books, you would think it's something out of like legends, might be mythology, You hear of Alexander the Great doing great things. You hear of Queen Cleopatra. You might say, okay, they did great things, huge things, cool. If you hear what the stories of these devotees, you'll think it's even greater than that, or maybe it's even part of that time. They became fearless through the association of their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So, I thought we'll go through some stories as well of some of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, because they exhibited huge amounts of fearlessness. Huge. We just exhibited how Srila Prabhupada exhibited some fearlessness. Has anyone heard of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj? We heard one of his Prabhupada memories on Prabhupada Disappearance Day. Actually, Srila Prabhu, is it possible that whenever we talk about these people, we could put them on the screen maybe, like a picture so that we can see? Could you put, or Dad, you can type it in. Just type in Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. So Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was one of the huge disciples of Srila Prabhupada. One of his nicknames was the Black Lotus. He actually coordinated a lot of the spiritual revolution in Africa, and also with the African Americans in America as well. This is Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. It is because of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that Nelson Mandela he got a lot of inspiration from the Gita and read the Gita. Nelson Mandela is also known to be one of inspirations in general political movements. But Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, one of his services this was during communist times in Russia. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he had the service, this is before he became a sannyasi, I think. One of his services was to deliver Gitas and Prabhupada's books into Russia. During this time, it was communist Russia, the Soviet Union. And at this time, if anybody spoke of God, you'd get arrested and put into jail. It was this strict. Now, us devotees, we wanted to start a revolution of Krishna consciousness in Russia. So Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, somehow he wanted to get these books, Srila Prabhupada's books, to Russia to distribute to people. So you would think it's a simple process. You can just bring it in. No. They would get confiscated, you'd be put in jail, and you'd be beat and tortured in jail if they saw a Gita on you. So then what did the devotees have to do? They had to smuggle Bhagavad Gitas into Russia. Some people, they get arrested, and these kind of consequences will happen if you smuggle drugs into a country. For us, we had to smuggle Gitas into our country. So one of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's plans was he had to take a van, and somewhere from Europe he had to take a van and drive it into Russia. and sneak these Gitas and Prabhupada's books into Russia with being unnoticed by the officials. This is scary, because if one book gets found out, you get put in jail. And not just put in jail to rot in a cell. You would barely get any food, freezing temperatures, and you would get beat to a pulp. But he still did it. He recounts this memory, and what he did is he brought a dog as well into the van. I don't know whose dog it was, but he somehow got a dog. And in the van with him, it was him, this dog, and like few thousand Gitas in the back of the van. So then it comes to the border. And Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, obviously, for everyone there'll be anxiety, right? If he gets found out, it's over. His life is over. He goes to the border. Official knocks onto the window, tells him to roll it down. Says, "What do you have in the back?" He says, "Nothing. Just some." He made some excuse. He brought some things. I think they were covered up in some cloth and stuff like that as well. Then the official, he sees the dog. He says, "Hey, dogs are not allowed to be traveled into. You can't take it over the border. It has to be some other process. You can't take this. So we have to take the dog off you. It can't go past here." So then he's like, okay. They take the dog. Because there was such a commotion about this dog, because it was a huge contraband. These officials, they focus so much on taking this dog away and making sure this dog doesn't go past the border, they didn't even look in the van. There was about a few thousand Gitas and Prabhupada's books just sitting there. And somehow, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj then drove into the border and got these books into Russia. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj ki jai. So actually, there's so many people. I said Soviet Union. If you ever get the chance, we might try and get it for the shop. There is a book called Salted Bread. During this time of the Soviet Union, it was very, very, very difficult to start any Krishna consciousness in Russia. Very difficult. Because at any site of Krishna consciousness, you get arrested and put into jail, like we said. But somehow, this revolution started. And devotees were being created in Russia in secret. People were chanting in secret, they were reading in secret. If their house was searched by these Soviet Union officers, they'd have to hide the Gita. They wouldn't even have deities in their homes, because how could you hide a deity? It's much difficult. So they just had pictures of the deities, some of them. And the Gitas they had brought into the country, they couldn't get more in. So they had to hand copy all of these Gitas into the Russian language. Hand copy. And that's what they were doing day and night, without the police happening. There's Diksha ceremonies that happen. So these Russian devotees, they had so much trouble with the officers. They had to do these Diksha ceremonies, these initiation ceremonies, where you take the vows into Krishna consciousness to chant 16 rounds a day and honor a spiritual master. They had to do it in secret, in forests. And sometimes they'd get found out by the Russian devotees. They tell of these stories. And sometimes they get found out by these officers. The police would come. And they start chasing after them, with guns, by the way. Full guns. Sometimes they'd have to run away during the initiation ceremony. And sometimes one of the sannyasis who would give initiation there, they said funnily that one time he had to initiate someone whilst running. So it wasn't like, oh, this is your name, thank you for telling your vows, and then run. They ran beside each other, and they were running. It was like, now your name is so-and-so, here's your beads, Hare Krishna, and then they ran more away from the officers. So that was the state, what was happening. There were so many of our devotees that went into jail. So many of our devotees tortured in jail. So many of our devotees, the Soviet Union, these officers, KGB, they would be tortured in jail, brainwashed in jail, not fed food. So there's a book called Salted Bread. It tells all these tragic stories of what the devotees had to put up with. But why does this come to our point? Because the point is, devotees are fearless. The only way we can become fearless is that you have some spiritual closeness there. There has to be. Fearlessness cannot happen without spirituality. That can't happen. The only way to become fearless is through spirituality. And it's safe to say that devotees are fearless. Srila Prabhupada was fearless. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was fearless. The devotees in Russia are fearless. There's books and books and books and documents of what happened there and what they went through. Yet they still went on. One other devotee. Okay. Can you put Tribhuvanath Prabhu on the projector? I'll be 5 more minutes. Tribhuvanath. Tribhuvanath Prabhu is like my hero. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he's a British-born devotee. Yeah. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu was actually an orphan. He grew up an orphan, and he was adopted. But he naturally within the orphanage system, it wasn't up to standards. So many people that grew up in orphanages, they weren't very happy, and they were quite distraught kids, because the system wasn't that great. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu, once he saw the devotees on the street when he was 15 or 16 years old. And I think he had been adopted by, or had some foster parents or something like this, but he was an orphan. And he saw the devotees, he met the devotees, he asked questions to the devotees and wanted to join the devotees. He was like, they are happy, there's something there. So at the age of 15 or 16, back then we had a temple called Bury Place. It was in a place called Bury Place in central London. And it was, now it's not there, but back then the devotees were living there. And Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he wanted to join the devotees. He wanted to join the temple and live in the temple with the devotees. He wanted to give his life to Krishna and give his life to Prabhupada. So he knocked on the temple one night. And he was 16 years old, underage. And he said, can I join? And they said, no, you're too young. If you join, we'll get in trouble because we need your parents' consent and all like this, but your parents won't give consent. Plus you're an orphan, you don't really have any personal guardian or anything like that, just moving around. So we can't do that, it's too risky. We can't join. I said, no, please, please, please let me join. Please, I want to join the temple. I don't want to live life like a materialist. I want to live in the temple as a monk, as a brahmachari. He said no. And there was a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually it was no, the devotees shut the door in his face. He says, you can't come in, we'll get in trouble. This was around autumn, winter time. So winter, England, back then especially, was quite cold. So then one of the devotees, he woke up in the middle of the night, I think it was like 2 o'clock, and they were getting ready for Mangalarti. And then he looked outside the window, and this kid, this 15, 16-year-old kid, was sleeping on the doorstep of the temple, in the cold, shivering, without anything. Then they were like, oh my God, this kid. They opened the door and let him in. So he joined the movement that way. Tribhuvanath Prabhu became the youngest temple president in the history of ISKCON. He was 16 years old. After that, he did preaching missions in Scotland, India, Africa, Saudi Arabia, and many other places. It might seem like, okay, nice tour, hot countries, very nice, very nice to do so. It's tropical. In Saudi Arabia, he was one of the main people that helped print the Bhagavad Gita in the Arabic language in Saudi Arabia. Like we said, back then there was Soviet Russia, they didn't allow Gitas. In Saudi Arabia, they were also very strict. So when they had to do it in secret in Saudi Arabia as well, to print it in Arabic. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he doesn't know Arabic, by the way, he's purely British, I think a little bit Irish. when he got found out by the Saudi Arabian officials, he got put in jail. The jail was so small that you couldn't lie down in the jail. And he was in that jail for about, I think, 4 months. And then he got released. The devotees somehow got him released, and then he went back to England and carried on. No break or anything like that. He didn't leave the movement or anything like that. And there's clips on the internet, on YouTube, when he was preaching in Africa. At the time in Africa, there was a huge kind of movement of hate preachers from Christian denomination. But back then, there were like a lot of hate preachers. People were converting people, and it was very rough. So sometimes the devotees, they would do programs in like auditoriums, and these radical religious people, they would bang on the doors, they would do protests outside and threaten to kill the devotees, saying that Jesus is the only way, Jesus is the only way. All this Hare Krishna is nonsense, And Tribhunath Prabhu was leading all this. They had to lock the doors with the auditorium just to not let these people in and protest. And there's videos of him on the internet, of him firing away like a lion. His life is in danger, by the way. Easily, there could be people that will come in and try to assassinate the devotees. Even in Saudi Arabia, their punishment system is very severe. You get your hands chopped off for stealing. Who knows what could happen for just preaching the Gita. But he went on like a lion. He fought. And if you see the videos, he preaches, the way he speaks, it's like a lion. He knows what he's saying. Doesn't care what's going to happen. If anything happens to him, it's fine. He's going to say it. He's going to try and take on Srila Prabhupada's movement even more. So he was fearless, really fearless. To have the courage to preach in places like this, there's so many stories we can say. Maybe we'll say in another Sunday. One last one I'll say, because it's getting to 1:45. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, if you can put him on there as well. The last person we'll talk about. So Kadamba Kanana Maharaj is actually not a Prabhupada disciple. He's a second generation devotee. His Guru Maharaj, Jayadvaita Maharaj, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj is a Prabhupada disciple. But Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, has anyone here been to Vrindavan? Or you've been to Vrindavan, yeah? Very nice. Okay, so in Vrindavan we have a Krishna Balram Mandir, temple, Krishna Balram temple. And Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, for some time, he was actually the temple president of the Krishna Balram temple. So he was overseeing all the projects and all the systems and oversight of the entire temple. During this time in Vrindavan, most people think that Vrindavan was it's always happy there, it's the Dham, it's Krishna's place. But sometimes there are dangers in Vrindavan as well. So at the time that he was the temple president in Vrindavan, the devotees had a lot of problems with dacoits. A dacoit means gangs, gangsters. And they didn't so they would come to the temple and they would try to act like they owned the place. Not let people in when they didn't want to, and they had a lot of problems with dacoits. Dacoits, they were gangsters, they would shoot people, they would kill people sometimes. Try to steal from the devotees. So the devotees, they tried to push it back a little bit and challenge the dacoits a little bit. Very little, not much. And I don't know the exact details of the story, but one time Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, being the temple president, like the main man, when an army invades a country, you don't blame the army, you blame the general, right? So being the temple president, he's like the leader. One night, he went to the bathroom of Krishna Balram, actually in the Gurukul they had there. And he recounts this in one podcast, actually. it was dark, the electricity went out. That's normal usually in Vrindavan, so it happens sometimes, the electricity went out. And he went to the bathroom, and in the darkness, there was a bang that happened. He got scared. And then he realized he had been shot. He'd been shot. I can't remember where exactly he got shot, but he got shot. And the injury was so bad that he has to go to hospital and get surgery. So these were the consequences. But still, he pushed on. And now, there in Vrindavan, there's no problems with the dacoits in the Krishna and Balram Mandir. So these were the kinds of things that the devotees went through, they were fearless with. The biggest story I wanted to tell, but we don't have time, is in Mayapur, our temple in Mayapur, in West Bengal. Back then there were even more problems of dacoits, more than Vrindavan. Like, the dacoits would come into the temple, they actually stole a deity of Radharani, the main deity of Radharani they had in the temple, because they were metallic deities, right? So they thought these deities were made of gold. So dacoits they had guns and they invaded the temple. And the devotees, this doesn't happen in all our temples, the devotees had to defend the temple. So do you fight a war if the other side of the war have guns, do you fight them with love? Or say, don't do it, peace. Will they stop? No. So the devotees had to arm themselves with guns as well, because they had to for self-defense. So there's so many stories of, there's devotees now, there's one sannyasi in our movement, he lost his leg because a bomb went off in the temple and his leg got lost in that. But now he's still preaching, by the way. He's going to different places in India and he's preaching. He's an initiating guru. He's lost one leg, but he's still pushing on. So this is the fearlessness of the devotees. That last point, we'll say in another time, that story of the devotees with the dacoits, there's a huge story around it, how they got the deity of Nrsimhadev and everything. We'll talk about it another time. But the point was, fearlessness. The only way to become fearless is to become a devotee. You cannot have fearlessness without any point of spirituality. If you try to combat your fearlessness or your fear with material methods, like we said before, physical, mental, and intellectual, it won't work. You will not conquer fear without spirituality. It's not possible. So the last 15-20 minutes we just spoke about real life examples of how you become fearless as a devotee with Krishna on your side. It's possible. There are actually thousands, hundreds of examples of devotees becoming fearless just from being devotees. You won't get anywhere else will you get people that are as fearless as these devotees. And how? Because they associated with Srila Prabhupada, they had Krishna in their life, they kept Krishna in the center, and they had the philosophy that Krishna is in control. So we'll end it there today. Does anybody have any questions before we go for kirtan? Or some points, remarks that maybe you realized or thought about in this class? No? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, now we'll have kirtan, so please be stood and we'll do some kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we can now rise and we can do kirtan now. We can do fearless kirtan today. We do not have any problem of any dacoits coming or bomb going off. Here there is no problem. So we can, fearlessly do a kirtan. Very, very, blessed here. So let's do kirtan now, and after that we do some more announcements. Hari. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे एवरीबॉडी हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा everybody हरे कृष्णा together everybody हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा everybody, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम, जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय, अनिता गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल, निता गौरा हरि बोल, निता गौरा हरि बोल, निता गौरा हरि बोल। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजकाचार्य स्तोत्रशत श्री श्रीमदि डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणार वृंद भक्ति विदान स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवाशादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की। श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की, कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, बृहत मृदंग ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladadayine.
Praladadayine.
Hiranyakashipu rakshaha. शिलाटं कानकालाय एतो न सेमा परतो न सेमा येतो यामिना तो न सेमा Bahe Narasare Raye Nasimo Narasingam Dem Sharanam Prapade Davakara Kamalavare Nakam Abura Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavajrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare नृसिंहदेव की
जय
प्रहलाद महाराज की
जय दूसरे महाप्रसाद
महाप्रसाद गोविंदे नाम ब्राह्मणी वैष्णवे सर्वपुण्यतां नचन विश्वसौरव जायते सराय विद्याचाल चोलिंदिये दारिकाल जीवे फेलु सासागरे ताड़मती जीवाते लोगो माय सदोमती ताके जे तकरन संसारे कृष्ण बोलो देव माई कोई बाय जीव जाए
प्रसाद अनदिलो भाई
से नाम नित्य पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेम राक्षसी चैतन्य निताई जय माय जय निताई जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री जय राधा श्री साई गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे महाप्रसाद में की
Hare Krishna. Give a big round of applause to our little Vihan. It takes a courage and confidence to sing two prayers together. Very well. I don't know what I was doing when I was small like him. Probably I was just eating butter. So thank you everyone for coming today. Today we had a wonderful topic of how to conquer our fear. So we'll be talking on these practical topics more and more into our temple. How we become, a fearless devotee, a confident devotee, and we can live in this world, a very happy life, and also help other devotees, other people to live a very happy life in this world. Talking about happiness, wedding is the most happy thing, isn't it? We all like to go weddings. Yeah. So eventually our temple will encourage all the devotees, if you ever want to get married in our temple, and we'll make all the arrangement. Maybe most of you are all married, so don't think about getting married again. I'm not saying that. But all our children's getting younger, and then when they want to get married, temple will be available for wedding ceremony. So we are starting that activity by doing a wedding for Krishna's wedding. Yeah, so Krishna is married to Vrinda Devi. Yeah, so next Sunday we'll have a wedding ceremony for Krishna and Tulsi. We call Tulsi Viva. So next Sunday our program will start at 10 o'clock because wedding takes a lot of time. You all know. Our wedding is not that do you accept him and go. Not like that. So we have a very elaborate ceremony. So our priest will be coming all the way from Manchester. There will be proper fire sacrifice and proper wedding will take place in the temple. If you want to dance, people dance in the wedding. So we'll have some ceremony for dancing also. And you can take a side, whether you want it from the bride side or bridegroom side. Ladke wale ya ladki wale. And then accordingly, you can take part in the wedding. So that is happening next Sunday. If you want to sponsor any part of the wedding, we'll let you know in the WhatsApp group, in what way you can support the wedding ceremony. And then you can take part in it. We want to make it an annual event. So every year we'll make this Tulsi Viva in our temple. So even if nobody gets married, Krishna will be getting married again and again, in the temple every year. So every year we'll have one wedding in our temple. So this year Tulsi Viva actually happened 2 weeks back according to the calendar. But because of the logistics problem, we are doing it this Sunday. So next Sunday we are having wedding and we are starting at 10 o'clock. And so please make note of this time, 10 o'clock. It will go till about 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock will complete everything, and there will be prasadam for everyone. So next Sunday, Tulsi Viva. And in the December, we'll be having a major festival of Gita Jayanti, where we'll be reciting the whole Bhagavad Gita in temple, start to finish, all 18 chapters, all 700 shlokas, start to end. Every year, we ask devotees that, they can take one chapter and they can recite the whole chapter. And last year, we had quite a lot of devotees give their name. But if you at all, if you want to recite one chapter, either English or Sanskrit, it doesn't matter, you can recite in English as well. Or if you're comfortable with Sanskrit, you can recite in Sanskrit. So we'll let you know the date, and it will be middle of December that we'll be doing it. And then in the not the December, but the 1st January, we'll be welcoming our new year 2025 by doing a kirtan in the temple. So it's midweek, it's not a Sunday, but Sunday, 1st January is anyway bank holiday. So we'll be doing a kirtan in the temple. So we can begin our new year with kirtan rather than, sleeping in a hangover. So we can come in the temple and, and chant about Krishna. And as Balram said, in Krishna's association, we become fearless. So if you start your year with a fearless kirtan, then the rest of the year will be your fearless as well. Yeah, so that's 1st January, we'll be doing a kirtan in the temple. It starts at about 11 o'clock, so about 4 hours we're doing the kirtan. So that's again on 1st January. So thank you all very much for coming today. Now we'll go and take our prasadam upstairs in the temple, in the kitchen. I'd like to be very grateful for Murli Chetan and the team for cooking today. They have cooked very wonderful feast for all of us today. So give a big round of applause to Murli Chetan Prabhu and the team, and Chandrika Mataji for Hare Krishna. Once again, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Please make your way upstairs for the prasadam.